Welcome back to the channel, everybody. In today's video, we're going to be playing with this. This is my new 80-year-old shortwave UV light. You heard me right. It's about 80 years old, give or take. What we have here is the Mineralight M12. The Mineralight M12. Now, this is a very old UV light, and I'm not exactly sure when this specific model was produced. However, I do have a couple of resources at my disposal here. If we look at the Collecting Fluorescent Minerals book, we can see in here there is reference to this right at the very beginning of the book, which is, it's helpful to have a resource like this sitting around. And they, that's right there, okay? So in here, they call it the 1940s ultraviolet light products of California, the M12, Model 12, which that's what that guy is right there. Yeah, they kind of describe it, and we'll get into it here shortly. But they say it is from the 40s. However, I also have this little book here, the Uranium and Fluorescent Minerals Handbook thing, this little guy from 1953, and they do mention it as well. So it's kind of hard to know exactly when I'm filming this in 2024, and that's where we're going to be with it, about 75, 80 years old. Okay, well, I'm perusing my local Craigslist, and I saw an ad for this guy, and well, I had to jump on it for a number of reasons. It is totally clean. We do have a little bit of damage, right? Well, let's go like that. A little bit of a paint missing, and that paint, that crinkle paint, reminds me of a 1950s typewriter. We got a luggage handle up here. We have a 3-position switch, which we'll get into how this thing operates, probably take it apart a little bit. There's not a whole lot of information here on YouTube about these. So I got this for $40, and it's worth about 40 bucks, I think, you know, and we're going to test it against some modern lights. Now, within the world of UV everything, there is a certain amount of gatekeeping that happens where people have said a number of times that these are garbage. Well, let's play with this one. I don't know if I'd buy one of these online, not seeing it. You know, if the internal components aren't working, if it's a rusty piece of junk, and you have to replace the filter and do a bunch of stuff to it, you're steadily approaching the price of a modern LED shortwave light, and you might as well go with one of those. But if you're like me, and you like old things, and you like fun stuff, well, this is the right thing. Similar to some of the more modern LED shortwave lights, like we have a 255 here from Midnight Minerals, we have a 254 here from Stymac. You know, it's a power source, and in this case, LEDs, and a filter up here, and somewhat similar. I mean, we have our power supply, which is back here. I did get a new battery for this. We have a 6-volt lantern battery. I don't think this light is garbage by any means. I think it's kind of fun to have, if I'm being completely honest with you. And, you know, it's no replacement for these nice guys back here. But I want to take some photos with it. I want to play with it some and have this kind of cool thing, I don't know, to look at. It's a piece of history, I guess. So we have a 3-way switch up here, and that one will turn on this little incandescent bulb up here. And then down here, we have our UV light with a filter. It wouldn't have been the end of the world if I had to replace the filter. You know, you can get the, was it the ZWB3 filters on like eBay, and then Hoya filters are more expensive and harder to get. But we can take this off and have access to that filter. It has some paper in here to prevent the thing from wiggling. And here, I'll show you a shot of what this guy looks like on the inside. It's pretty simple stuff here. You know, we're not this is, after all, a product from the 1940s. Well, we can shut a couple of lights off here and flip on our little incandescent. That guy right there. You know, it's kind of funny to think about how many TV shows and movies really wouldn't work anymore because so much of it is like not being able to see into a dark room with your cruddy flashlight. And now for, you know, $40 you can get an amazing flashlight that's like turning the sun on. And then you'll be able to hear this thing flip off, and we'll fire up the UV. You can see our bulb in there. Does have that nice hum. This is a floodlight. That's kind of the intention behind this. So we will put a little bit of that to the test. We'll get the UV test card out and check it out. This here's my UV test card. You aim a UV light at it, and if it's UV A, B, C, it will light up, and we'll be able to have a nice little indicator here that we are kind of producing that wave. So as a means of reference as to where I'm holding this, how far away from the actual card, you can kind of see it right there. Probably a good 16 inches. We definitely get a nice reaction out of it. Obviously, the closer you get, the brighter it gets. Between that UV light and that test card, we have approximately 30 inches. So we will test the M12, the Midnight Minerals, and the Stymac light, and we'll just kind of see, well, how it looks. You can definitely see it. However, at that distance of 30 inches, which is a lot for this little 5 or 6 watt light, it's not super bright. Not super bright at all. And then the Midnight, yeah, that is quite the difference. Still at that same 30 inches. And the Stymac, the two of those, they pretty much look the same to me. That is really far and very bright. So we have 2 rocks here. This is a piece of Norbergite, and this here is a piece of Lastanite. And we'll put these guys now down at that 30 inches away from the source, and we'll see how our M12 handles a 30-inch distance, which, that's a lot. We're not really handling it very well there, are we? That's on and humming, and we're getting almost no reaction at that 30 inches. And here's the Midnight, and you can see that kind of glowing down there. Smaller reaction at 30 inches. The Stymac, it's really faint. These are kind of on the darker side. Now, one thing to factor in here is viewing angle and all of that. We're going to move you in now, and we'll do that same thing at half that distance, about 15 inches. And you can see that with the Midnight, we definitely are lighting up. However, the way to do this is actually with photos, and then the Stymac, very similar results here, but we have that little pinpoint of light. Now, we do have a little bit of bleed through on this filter. It is a very old filter, but you can kind of see just barely, nowhere near as good as LEDs, but it does work. Some willemite and calcite. Once again, we're about, 15, 16 inches. M12 light. There we go. Now that's kind of a bright one. Not bad for this old thing. So recently, somebody asked me, what's the point of having a UV light. You're just looking at things, and I think the point of it is it's just fun. It's a kind of a neat thing to do, to look at your collection, collect things specifically that you otherwise wouldn't collect. Like this rock right here, okay? There's no good point in picking this up. It's not aesthetically pleasing. It's not something you could do lapidary work with. It's just a rock. But you aim the UV light at it and it looks really cool. So the reason to be into it is, I guess, primarily it makes boring rocks look cool. And you can use it in the role of identification. Certain minerals will fluoresce certain colors, and we can use that to help us determine things about them. So that's kind of the basics of it. You know, things don't have to have a reason, right? So on to this thing, okay? I took the following 3 photos with this light and my phone. Now, could I have produced better photos using my real camera and not my phone? Yes. Could I have had less bleed-through light if I used one of my modern shortwave LED lights and not this M12 light that's 80 years old? Totally could. But it's more to prove a point. You know, naysayers are going to be naysayers, and this 80-year-old light that I picked up on Craigslist that has the same old filter in it, most likely, I was able to perfectly test it out, get some reaction out of some minerals. You know, am I going to carry this thing around? Am I going to take it into a mine and be holding this guy up and doing that? No. I'm going to be taking my little lights. Is it fun to have a piece of UV mineral history? Absolutely. And I would do it again. I would buy another one of these in this condition for 40 bucks because it's fun. It's fun. What can I say? I like it. Okay, everybody. Well, what do you think? You know, I guess it's just more me sharing. What do you think about that? Here's the M12, pretty basic guy, and it's fun. I'll probably take the battery out. It'll probably go up on a shelf, and I'll look at it and be like, huh, it's got a leather luggage handle on it. Kind of cool. All right, y'all. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here, watching the videos, checking out the website, and for those of you who are able to support this project, head on over to Patreon. We do a lot of cool stuff over there. Extra videos, monthly giveaways, hanging out, chatting on the app, doing all that good stuff. It's a blast. All right. Y'all take care, and I will catch you in the next video.